All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into advanced ritual magic
Ooh.
with the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking at a discourse by Frater DR.
Right.
Now, this is fair warning, this is advanced stuff,
Yeah.
but I think there's some really interesting takeaways, even
Yeah.
if you are, not a seasoned occultist or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that really caught my eye is that right out of the gate, Frater DR has kind of a different take on what ritual magic is all about.
Yeah, how so?
He really emphasizes this mindset of self-command
Okay.
and respect for the forces that you're invoking.
Right. So it's not about like subservience to these forces or
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about like, you are lower than these forces
Ah.
and you're kind of begging them to come and do your bidding.
Right.
It's more about recognizing the power that you hold within yourself.
Okay.
And that by approaching these forces with respect, you're inviting them to collaborate with you
Right.
rather than trying to force them into submission.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he suggests that this kind of subtle shift in attitude
Mm.
can really have a profound impact on the effectiveness of your ritual work.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's about establishing like a reciprocal relationship
Right.
with these forces rather than a
Yeah, like a instead of barking orders,
Well.
you're being more of a
I like that. Yeah.
like a cosmic diplomat,
Yeah, yeah.
something like that.
Maybe like an ambassador to these forces.
Yes,
Kind of,
an emissary to the unseen realms or whatever.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this leads into another really interesting concept that he introduces, which is this idea of ritual magic as a monochromator.
Oh, wow.
Okay, full disclosure, I had to look up what a monochromator was for anyone who's not, a science buff. A monochromator is basically a device that filters white light
Okay.
to isolate specific colors.
Okay. Yeah.
So how does that relate to ritual magic?
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, he uses this analogy to explain how rituals can help us refine our perception
Okay.
of this vast interconnected web of energies in the universe.
Oh, okay.
It's not about creating these energies, but
Uh,
rather filtering them,
Gotcha.
isolating specific frequencies to experience them more purely.
So I was thinking about this. It's almost like if you have this massive radio antenna that's
Yeah.
picking up all these jumbled signals
Mhm.
from all over the place,
Yeah.
and a ritual is kind of like the tuner
Right.
that allows you to hone in on a specific station
Okay.
and experience that energy with greater clarity and intensity.
That's a really cool way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's even more interesting is
Yeah.
that he suggests that because we all have our own unique,
Mm.
nature and experiences, we will naturally gravitate towards certain energies
Okay.
more easily than others.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we each have our own unique filter.
That was my thought. Like,
It's like we're predisposed to.
almost like our dials are set differently
Right.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever noticed this,
Mm.
but have you ever, felt certain energies
Oh, yeah.
really strongly at certain times? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you've been...
Kind of like when the stars align a certain way.
Yeah, or like there's maybe a certain element is prominent or something, and you
Mhm.
just feel like super grounded and focused, or maybe you feel super creative
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever notice that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's like our inner world is kind of syncing up
Yeah.
with the outer world in a way.
It's like we're all connected
Yeah.
to
To this big web.
this big web of energy.
Yeah.
And this actually leads really nicely into Frater DR's 4 invocation structure for working with these energies.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, so he lays out a specific path
Yeah.
for engaging with each
Okay.
elemental or planetary or zodiacal force.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would start with initiation.
Okay.
Then you would move to tool consecration.
Right.
Then you would do scrying.
Okay.
And then finally talisman consecration.
I see.
So it's this 4-stage process.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
each of those stages,
Mm.
is that arbitrary or is it...
No, not at all.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting
Yeah.
because each of these stages corresponds
Yeah.
not only to the 4 elements,
Right.
but also to the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton.
Oh, wow.
So
That's fascinating.
there's like this deeper
Okay.
symbolic significance at play here.
Yeah, so can you break that down for me a little bit? Well, I think that's where we need to bring in the expert.
All right.
What's the deeper meaning behind this fourfold approach?
Well, if you think about it, each stage represents a different aspect of manifestation.
Okay.
It's kind of mirroring the Hermetic principle of as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the initial spark of fire,
Right.
the flowing form of water,
Okay.
the connecting breath of air,
Yeah.
and then the solidifying ground of earth.
Okay.
So these 4 stages, they're reflected in both the microcosm of the ritual
Mm-hmm.
and the macrocosm of creation itself.
So it's not just going through the motions.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about aligning your actions
Aligning yourself with these,
with these fundamental.
these fundamental principles
Which is
of creation, yeah.
Gotcha.
And apart from the symbolism, this structure actually offers a practical benefit.
Okay.
By spacing out the work into these 4 distinct stages,
Mm-hmm.
you avoid the risk of energetic overload.
Which makes sense because if you try to do too much at once,
Right, exactly. You're going to burn yourself out. It's like anything else, you know?
yeah,
If you have a big project,
yeah,
you got to break it down into manageable chunks.
right.
Otherwise, you're just going to get overwhelmed.
I'm gonna get overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I mean, you're basically saying we're already doing ritual magic.
In a way.
Yeah.
In everyday life.
Yeah.
We just don't realize it.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
And this brings us to another really practical aspect of Frater Dier's discourse.
Okay.
He gets into the nitty-gritty details of actually performing these rituals,
Okay.
addressing some concerns that even experienced practitioners have, like
Okay.
memorization.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering about that.
Because let's be real,
Yeah.
memorizing long incantations
Yeah.
can be tricky.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, trying to do this
Right.
in a ritual setting where you want to be focused and present
Yeah, exactly.
and everything. You don't want to be fumbling with your notes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, he acknowledges that
Yeah.
using memory aids is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah, it's smart.
Actually, a really smart strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes sense.
makes total sense.
And he also talks about the importance of having a well-designed temple space,
Oh, okay.
suggesting that the environment itself can actually act as a memory aid.
Now that I think about it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Think about it.
our surroundings can have a huge impact on our ability to focus and recall information.
Right.
Like, what helps you concentrate when you're working on something important?
I mean, I definitely need a clean and organized space.
Yeah,
I find that clutter is just distracting.
totally.
Yeah.
Me too.
I also need good lighting.
Same here.
Yeah, natural light's the best.
Yeah.
But if I'm working at night,
Hmm.
I have a special lamp. That
Mhm.
kind of helps me focus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've basically created a workspace that supports your mental processes.
Yeah, without even realizing it.
Yeah, it's intuitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what he's saying. Apply that same principle to your ritual space.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He also encourages practitioners to personalize the invocations.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's not just about following a script.
No.
It's about making it your own.
Yeah, to find language that resonates with you
Right.
rather than sticking to like a rigid dogma.
Yeah, so you're kind of bringing your own understanding
Yeah.
to the practice.
It's like you're, making the magic your own.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah, it makes it feel less intimidating and more like
Right.
a creative exploration.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So speaking of making it your own,
Mm-hmm.
this leads us to another fascinating aspect.
Mm-hmm.
He addresses the question of timing.
Oh, the timing. Does it really matter?
Yeah, like does every candle need to be lit
Yeah.
at the precise moment when a certain planet is rising?
Exactly.
You have to be an astrological expert.
Yeah, do I have to like pull out my ephemeris?
Right, exactly.
Figure out like exactly the
Yeah.
precise moment to do everything.
Do you have to consult with like 5 different astrologers
right.
to make sure you're getting the timing right?
So traditionally,
Yeah.
astrological timing is considered crucial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is that you're trying to align your actions
Yeah, you want to catch that wave.
with these specific planetary hours.
Right. Yeah.
Elemental ties.
Want to like ride that energetic current.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to be in sync with the cosmos.
Yeah, you want to be surfing the cosmos.
Yeah.
But here's where Frater DR throws a bit of a curveball.
Oh, what's that?
He suggests that at this stage of practice,
Mhm.
establishing a genuine connection
Okay.
with the energy
Yeah.
is actually more important than perfect timing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more about the connection than the technicalities.
Yeah, and I think that's partly because he's acknowledging that,
It can be tough.
we're busy people.
Yeah.
We've got jobs, we've got families,
Right.
we've got stuff going on.
Yeah. It's hard to like clear your schedule.
And to try and like fit in,
Yeah.
this really complex ritual
Right.
at this very precise astrological window.
Yeah, to find that perfect window.
It's like sometimes just carving out the time.
Yeah, sometimes just making the time.
And the space to do the work is a victory in itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, from your experience,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever noticed like a big difference
Ooh,
in
yeah.
the outcome of a ritual based on the timing?
Yeah, sometimes I've definitely felt like
Hmm.
if the timing is really good,
Yeah.
the experience can be more intense,
Yeah.
more clear.
Like it flows more smoothly.
Yeah, it flows better.
Yeah.
But then there are other times when it's like the timing wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But I ended up having like the most amazing insights.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like by going off script,
Yeah.
you open yourself up.
To a whole new
Yeah, like a whole new range of possibility
possibilities. Yeah.
that you wouldn't have even considered before.
Yeah. I had a funny experience with this once.
Oh, what happened?
I was trying to do a meditation
Mm.
during what I thought was a really potent astrological alignment.
Okay.
And my cat had other plans. Yeah, suddenly she decided it was playtime
Okay.
and launched into a full-blown Zoomies attack,
Oh, no.
just racing around the room like a furry tornado.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was not
I can picture that.
exactly the serene meditative experience I was hoping for.
Yeah, not exactly ideal conditions.
Yeah, but surprisingly, I actually
Mm.
found myself laughing
Okay.
along with her.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't the deep introspective experience I had planned,
Yeah.
it taught me a valuable lesson about letting go of expectations and embracing the unexpected.
Yeah, sometimes those unexpected moments are
Yeah.
the best teachers.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this actually brings up a really practical concern for a lot of people
Yeah.
who are interested in this path, which is,
What's that
their
space?
Yeah.
Where do you do this work?
Yeah, especially if you don't have like a
Right.
dedicated ritual chamber.
If you don't live in a solitary hermitage.
Right,
I
exactly.
know not all of us have a
Yeah.
mansion with a secret ritual chamber hidden away.
Yeah, most of us are just working with.
So what's Frater DR's advice
Right.
for those of us who are
Yeah.
navigating the realities of shared living spaces?
His advice is really simple.
Oh.
Honesty and open communication.
Oh.
Yeah, he suggests that rather than trying to hide your practice,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually better to be upfront
Okay.
with those you live with about what you're doing.
I can imagine that could be kind of daunting. Yeah, I can see that.
Like, how do you explain to your skeptical roommate
Yeah.
that you're about to,
You're going to be invoking.
invoke a planetary intelligence
Yeah.
in the living room?
Yeah, I can imagine that conversation.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
I'm just picturing the look on their face.
Right.
But, he's got a point because
Yeah.
by creating all this secrecy
Right.
and suspicion around your practice,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of, it can actually be more detrimental.
Yeah, it's like that saying, we fear what we don't understand.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're open about it,
Right.
people are more likely to at least be respectful.
Right. And even if they don't agree with it,
Great.
at least they'll understand.
At least they'll understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And he also emphasizes that you don't need a grand temple room to do this work.
Oh, okay.
Any space can be transformed
Okay.
into a sacred space with a little bit of creativity and intention. He actually started out performing rituals.
Really?
Yeah. In a tiny closet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about making the most of limited space.
Right. It's not about the external trappings.
Yes.
It's about the internal.
The internal focus.
Yeah, the internal focus, the
Yeah.
intention.
The intention, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that saying, bloom where you're planted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can cultivate a vibrant spiritual practice
Yeah.
anywhere.
Even if your garden is studio apartment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And he even gives some great tips
Oh, yeah.
on creating like simple,
Yeah.
effective altars
Yeah.
using everyday objects.
Right. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Right.
It's more about.
That objects that are charged with meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's really about creating a space
Yeah.
that feels sacred to you
Okay.
and conducive to your practice.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of creating a specific atmosphere,
Mhm.
he also talks about ritual attire.
Oh.
So while he acknowledges
Mm-hmm.
the traditional Golden Dawn regalia,
Right. The robes, the headdresses.
yeah, the flowing robes, the ornate headdresses,
Yeah.
He actually encourages practitioners to
Yeah.
wear
Yeah.
whatever makes them feel
Yeah.
most empowered and connected to the work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not about...
So ditch the robes
Yep.
and pointy hats if they're not your thing,
Right, exactly.
basically.
Comfort and confidence are key.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He even shares that he personally prefers to work skyclad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feeling that it allows for the most direct connection
Right.
to the energies.
Yeah.
That might be a little too freeing for some folks,
Yeah, I could see that.
but I get the point.
Right.
It's about choosing clothing.
Right. It's about what helps you,
That helps you step into that role.
to
Yeah.
feel comfortable and confident
Yeah.
in that role.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And he also stresses the importance of ritual cleansing beforehand,
Oh.
whether it's a relaxing bath,
Yeah.
a shower,
Mm-hmm.
something to kind of transition
Yeah.
from the mundane world.
Yeah. Like a symbolic separation
Symbolic.
between your everyday life
Yeah, you're shedding the day's energy.
and this sacred work you're about to undertake.
Right. Creating a clean slate.
Yeah, like you're hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you enter the ritual space
Yeah.
with this, like, you know,
With a fresh mind.
clear mind, receptive heart.
Yeah. Beautifully put.
Yeah.
So once you're cleansed and properly attired,
Mm-hmm.
we can finally get to the heart of the matter,
Okay.
the assumption of God forms.
Okay, now we're getting to the really good stuff.
Right. This is where...
This is where things go beyond visualization.
Yeah, exactly.
Into like
It's about embodiment.
embodiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just provide instructions.
Oh.
He actually shares his own personal experiences with this practice,
Okay.
describing the subtle but profound shifts
Mm-hmm.
that occur
Hmm.
when you really embody a God form.
So it goes beyond.
It can go beyond just feeling a shift in energy.
Okay.
You can actually
Yeah.
manifest it in your physical presence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he describes feeling the presence of the deity
Okay.
as a tangible force,
Mm-hmm.
almost as if another being is inhabiting your body.
Whoa.
But he also stresses the importance
Yeah.
of treating this process with respect
Right.
and making sure the God form is fully dissolved
Right. Yeah.
after the ritual is complete.
So you don't want to be walking around
Yeah, you don't want to be carrying that energy.
with like a lingering archangel vibe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not about becoming the deity
Right.
in a literal sense.
Yeah.
It's more about acting as a conduit,
Okay.
if it was energy and wisdom.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And to ensure a respectful and balanced exchange,
Hmm.
he recommends a practice that he calls the invocation of the highest divine force.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So this happens before.
This happens before assuming any God form.
Okay.
It's about connecting to the very source of your magical ability,
Mm-hmm.
that spark of divinity that's within each of us.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that our power ultimately flows from a higher source.
Okay.
And he encourages using personal prayers, poetry,
Yeah.
visualizations
Yeah.
to facilitate this connection.
So the key is to find.
The key is to find what resonates with you,
Yeah.
something that evokes a sense of awe,
Oh, snap.
inspiration, humility.
It's like acknowledging the source of the river
Correct.
before you dive into its currents.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And then from that place of connection,
Yeah.
you can step into the role of the God form
Right.
and channel its energy and wisdom
Right.
into the ritual work.
Yeah, and this brings us back to that fake it till you make it principle
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so it's about giving yourself permission
Yeah,
to fully embody the experience,
exactly.
even if you don't feel completely magical at first.
Yeah, and when it comes to God forms,
Mm-hmm.
he really encourages practitioners to go all out,
Okay.
to visualize these elaborate astral temples,
Yeah.
wield powerful weapons,
Mm-hmm.
let your voice resonate
Yeah.
with the energy you're invoking.
Yeah, he's basically saying, don't hold back.
Exactly.
Immerse yourself in the drama of it all.
Yeah, like really get into it.
Yeah.
And he even shares an anecdote
Oh, this is funny.
where he was so engrossed in a ritual, so fully embodying the God form,
Yeah.
that he completely ignored his neighbors banging on the ceiling,
Oh, no.
complaining about the noise.
Oh, that's dedication.
Yeah, he was in the zone.
That's hilarious.
But it illustrates his point
Yeah.
that true magic happens when we let go of our inhibitions
Right.
and really allow ourselves to be fully present
Yeah.
in the experience.
So it's not just about going through the motions.
Right. It's about,
It's about bringing your whole heart and soul
yeah, bringing your whole being
into the work.
into it.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges that this takes practice.
Right.
You're not going to nail it every time.
Yeah.
There will be moments of awkwardness,
Right.
mistakes, maybe even a few laughs along the way.
You got to embrace the imperfections.
Exactly. It's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to the actual
Yeah.
execution of the ritual,
Yeah.
he gives some really insightful guidance that I think goes beyond
Mm-hmm.
the basic instructions
Yeah.
you might find in,
Right.
a standard Golden Dawn textbook or something. He really emphasizes
Yeah.
the importance of the pauses
Okay.
after each pentagram or hexagram is traced.
Those moments of stillness.
Yeah. Where you just,
Where you can really feel the energy
Yeah.
building in this space.
yeah, like a wave gathering momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he describes the initial part of the ritual as
Mhm.
tweaking your sphere sensation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're kind of setting up the energetic filter
Yeah.
to allow that specific force you're invoking
Right.
to flow in.
Okay.
And then the work at the altar
Mhm.
becomes a point of grounding,
Okay.
stabilizing, and exalting that energy,
Okay.
and then directing it towards a specific purpose.
Gotcha.
And then you have the Enochian call,
Right.
which he describes as like a turbocharge
Oh, okay.
for the ritual.
Like adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to really get that energy moving,
Mhm.
he talks about the importance of circumambulation.
Oh, okay. Expert speaker.
So you're creating this kind of vortex of power
Okay.
within the ritual space.
And he even compares it to like
Yeah.
swirling a jug of water
Right.
to create a smooth, powerful flow.
Yeah, exactly.
And he stresses the significance of the number of circumambulations, like
Right.
how many times he circled.
Yeah, it's not just an arbitrary number.
Yeah, it's got a line.
It's got to align with this specific,
Vibrational frequency.
the energy you're working with.
That's cool.
Yeah, so each element of the ritual
Mhm.
is kind of building upon the previous one
Yeah.
to create this.
It's like a symphony of energy.
Exactly. It's like this beautiful crescendo
Yeah.
where it all comes together.
And it culminates in this powerful vortex.
Yeah,
And then you can use that vortex to
Or-
charge your sphere,
exactly.
consecrate tools,
Yeah.
even project your consciousness into the realm of the energy you've invoked.
Yeah, it's like you're harnessing
Wow.
the power of a whirlwind
Yeah, they're intense.
for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got
Yeah.
to bring that energy back down to earth.
Right. You can't just leave it swirling around.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
So he emphasizes the
Uh-huh.
importance of a proper closing,
Oh,
reversing the steps of the ritual,
Right. You got to kind of like,
dissolving the God form.
yeah, put everything back in its place.
Oh, yeah. Seal off the flow of energy.
Right.
And then, even though you might be feeling totally drained at this point,
Oh, yeah.
he reminds us to do the lesser banishing rituals.
Right. You got to ground yourself.
Ground yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Clear out any residual energies.
And record your experiences.
Yes, always write it down.
In your magical journal.
That's so important.
Even if you're just like, I'm too tired.
Right. Even if you're exhausted.
I just want to go to bed.
Yeah, those moments of exhaustion
Yeah.
are actually when some of the most valuable lessons emerge.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize I was feeling that way.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. So writing it down helps you process the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of lessons learned, he also addresses those times
Oh, yeah.
when things don't go as planned.
Well, let's be real. That happens.
Which, let's be honest,
Happens to everyone.
yeah, even the most experienced magicians.
So how does a seasoned magician like Frater DR
Right?
handle those inevitable curveballs?
Well, he starts by reminding us
Mm-hmm.
that mistakes are inevitable.
Okay.
They're part of the process.
It's for the learning process.
Yeah, and we shouldn't let them derail the whole experience.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Right.
Because I'm picturing myself
Yeah.
fumbling with incantations,
Mhm.
knocking over candles,
Happens.
maybe even setting off the smoke alarm
Oh, yeah.
with too much incense.
Been there.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
So he's basically saying,
Yeah.
don't sweat the small stuff.
Right. Keep a sense of humor.
Yeah. Maintain a sense of humor,
Yeah.
a sense of grace.
Yes. Yeah.
Even when things go
Even when it's a complete disaster.
hilariously
Yeah.
or maybe even terrifyingly wrong.
That's when you know you're
Yeah.
really pushing the boundaries
Yeah.
of your magical practice.
It's fun.
Yeah. And then what about distractions?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
those are the worst.
your cat deciding to stage a dramatic performance.
Right in the middle of your invocation.
Yeah, right in the middle of your invocation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just picturing my cat
Yeah.
using my carefully arranged altar
Right.
as a new scratching post.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So what does he recommend for that?
Yeah, what do you do?
He actually suggests calmly pausing the ritual
Okay.
stepping out of the god form
Right.
and using the portal signs
Yeah.
to temporarily leave the ritual space.
Where you're like hitting the pause button
Yeah.
on the magical energy,
Yeah.
deal with the distraction,
Take care of business.
and then resume
Yeah, come back when you're ready.
when you're ready.
But the key is to stay calm.
Right. Don't let it throw you off.
Don't let it rattle you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a dancer
Mhm.
who stumbles but manages to regain their footing
Yeah.
without missing a beat.
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
And of course, if you do need to abandon a ritual
Yeah.
due to unforeseen circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
do it gracefully
Right.
with respect for the energies you've invoked.
Yeah. Leave the space better.
Always leave it better than you found it.
can found it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But then what about those times when
yeah.
the ritual goes perfectly?
Mm-hmm.
You've followed all the steps.
Yeah.
You've invoked the god form.
You've got your vortex swirling.
You've got the whole shebang going on.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Crickets. And maybe a slightly burnt smell from the incense you accidentally overdid.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So what does he say about that?
What do you do?
Patience and discernment.
Okay.
Yeah, he encourages practitioners to be
Okay.
patient and discern. Because
Since
sometimes
the results are subtle
yeah,
and they unfold gradually over time.
it's not always fireworks and lightning bolts. Right, exactly.
Right.
And it takes time
Yeah.
to develop that magical sensitivity
Okay.
to recognize those subtle shifts,
Yeah.
those whispers of intuition.
It's like tuning into a radio frequency.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you got to adjust the dial
You got to adjust the dial a few times.
a few times before you find that clear signal.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important
Mm-hmm.
to keep a detailed magical journal,
Right. Write it all down.
because you might not realize,
Yeah.
you know, weeks or even months later.
Right. You might have these aha moments.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wow, that's what that was about.
Yeah, suddenly it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this work.
Yeah.
It's a continuous process of discovery
Yeah,
and growth.
that's cool.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, was there anything in Frater DR's discourse
Oh, yeah.
that particularly resonated with you?
What really stood out to me
Mm-hmm.
was his emphasis on personalization,
Okay.
on finding what really works for you. He even mentions adapting the traditional Golden Dawn methods
Yeah.
to better align with his own personal beliefs and practices.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying,
Right.
take the framework, explore the principles,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately trust your own inner guidance.
Exactly. It's about finding your own unique expression of magic,
Yeah, that's cool.
one that feels authentic and empowering to you.
Now, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah, we have.
but there's one crucial element of Frater DR's discourse
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't touched on yet.
And what's that?
His recommendations
Oh,
for further exploration.
the treasure map.
Yes.
Yeah.
He actually provides a list
He does.
of additional resources,
Yeah.
books, websites,
Websites.
even suppliers
Suppliers, yeah.
for those hard-to-find magical ingredients.
He's giving us the tools.
It's like he's handing us a treasure map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
And some of these books, oh yeah,
Sound absolutely fascinating.
some of them are classics.
Okay, tell me, what caught your eye?
Well, he mentions a book called The Ritual Magic Manual
Oh, okay.
by David Griffin.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. It goes into even more depth on the Golden Dawn system.
So if you're serious
Yeah, if you're really wanting to dive deep,
about pursuing this path.
that's the one to check out.
Okay, cool.
And he also recommends exploring the Golden Dawn's flying rolls.
Oh, the flying roll.
Yeah.
I've heard of those. Those are like...
Those are like the secret scrolls
Yeah.
of magical wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah, they delve
Wow.
into specific aspects of magical theory and practice.
So it's like the next level.
Yeah, it's like the graduate course
Okay.
in Golden Dawn magic.
Gotcha.
And he even provides
That's helpful.
links to some websites
Okay.
with astronomical data
Okay.
and suppliers for herbs, resins, incense.
So he's not just giving us the theory. No, he's giving us the practical tools.
He's giving us the tools.
Actually put this knowledge into practice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really generous of him.
It is.
To share all this information.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what makes his discourse so valuable.
Yeah.
He's not just teaching us about ritual magic.
Yeah.
He's empowering us
He's giving us the tools
to become magicians
to
ourselves.
become magicians ourselves, which is a perfect segue to
Yeah.
those flying rolls you mentioned.
Right. He actually points to a couple that sound particularly relevant
Okay.
to what we've been discussing.
Oh, tell me.
One is called Thoughts on Imagination,
Okay.
which ties in perfectly
Yeah.
with his emphasis on visualization
Right.
and really immersing yourself.
Yeah, and like really embodying the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying if you really want to tap into that magical potential,
Mm.
you got to understand how to work with your imagination.
Yeah, you got to like train your imagination.
Yeah, like it's a muscle you got to exercise.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other flying rule he mentions is called secrecy and hermetic love.
Ooh, that one sounds interesting.
Yeah, that one really caught my eye.
We hear a lot about secrecy
Right, like it's this big thing.
in magical traditions.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk about it.
But what's this hermetic love all about?
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, like is it just about,
Is it just about keeping your mouth shut?
yeah, keeping things hidden?
Or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah, like maybe it's about
Maybe it's about,
approaching the work with reverence.
yeah, with a sense of sacredness.
Yeah, and respect.
Yeah, like you're protecting it
Right.
from being trivialized.
Or misunderstood.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's about recognizing that interconnectedness
Yeah, that's a good point.
that we were talking about earlier.
Like everything's connected.
Yeah.
So our actions in the magical realm
Yeah.
have repercussions in the wider web of existence.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, so maybe hermetic love is about understanding and appreciating those connections.
It makes me want to go read those flying rolls right now.
Me too. They sound fascinating.
Well, I think we've unearthed some real gems today.
We have. This deep dive has been amazing.
It's been a really fascinating exploration.
Yeah, so many insights.
And even though we've only scratched the surface
Yeah, just a taste.
of Frater DR's insights,
Right.
we've uncovered some key principles
Yeah, some really important stuff.
that I think can be applied not just to ritual work,
Right.
but to life in general.
Absolutely.
Like that emphasis on self-command,
Yeah.
on cultivating a respectful relationship
Mhm.
with the forces we invoke,
With those unseen forces.
and recognizing the power of our own imagination.
Yeah, that's huge.
Those are lessons that I think can benefit anyone,
I agree.
regardless of their spiritual path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from
Mm.
this deep dive,
Yeah.
it's that magic isn't about following a rigid set of rules. Right.
Or achieving some unattainable level of perfection.
It's not about being perfect.
It's about embracing the journey,
Yeah, the experimentation.
the experimentation, the inevitable stumbles along the way.
The mistakes, the mishaps.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
It's all part of the fun.
It's about finding what resonates with you,
Right.
what sparks your curiosity,
Ah,
what ignites your passion
your passion for the mysteries.
for exploring the mysteries of the
And
universe.
at the universe, yeah.
So if you're feeling inspired,
Yeah.
go check out those resources
Dive into those books.
that Frater DR
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah, explore those websites.
Experiment with the techniques.
And most importantly,
And most importantly,
trust your intuition
trust your intuition.
as you embark on your own magical journey.
Yeah, because ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
the greatest magic lies not in ancient texts
Right.
or elaborate rituals,
Yeah, it's not about the external stuff.
but in the boundless potential
It's about the potential within.
that resides within each of us, each and every one of us.
Yeah, beautifully said.
So until next time,
Keep seeking,
keep exploring
keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
deep, deep.